Hello everyone, my name is Reed, and today we are going to be reading some malicious compliance stories, so sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy the ride. Dissolve my casual shifts? No problem, I'll just be the backup. I worked at a cafe with a team of 5 casuals and a manager. I would get rostered on for weekend shifts mostly, but sometimes people would swap shifts or give them to other people if they wanted a day off, etc. Pretty good job for the most part, and I was good friends with everyone, so it was easy to move shifts around if you wanted to. The manager liked this arrangement, since he didn't really need to manage us and let us sort out ourselves. Very passive and rather weak as a manager, but ultimately a good thing for us to have such a chill boss. Sometimes we had to be on call for peak season in case someone called in sick. It was summer and really busy. I had a day off and was not on call. My name wasn't even on the roster that week. In fact, another team member was on call, but they couldn't reach them on the phone. So I got a panicked call from my manager anyway and was asked to come in. I said I would if I could, but I was too far away from the shop to make it work. I'd have to go home first to change since I was at a friend's place having a few drinks and chilling in the backyard. At the time, it would have taken me about 2 hours to get there, and that was me rushing. So the manager decided to chew me out saying come in anyway, and I asked to be paid double time for the fact that I was not on call and would essentially be doing a massive favor for the business on my day off. I got paid very little and knew I had the leverage. Wasn't going to be bullied into coming in for nothing. He hung up on me in a huff and then texted me to say I would have my shifts reduced for not representing good team values. The funny thing was, if I had have gotten a call from one of the crew, not the manager, I would have said yes because I actually care a crap about them. It was at this point that I realized our manager really didn't care about us and was just trying to skate along off the back of our hard work. The manager decided to punish me by taking shifts off me and giving them to other staff. He couldn't legally fire me, and I had been a good worker on my time there, having lots of respect from my crew. He couldn't look me in the eye after that incident and chose to ignore me. A few days later, my shifts were reduced, and the following week, and then the next week. Then I only had 1 shift a week. Then, the following week, I had none. I knew he was just reassigning shifts to other people as a way of punishing me. Our team of 5 had been doing the roster ourselves since I started, and it was normal for us to call each other a day before a shift and just ask the other person if they wanted it. We'd just work it out and make it easy on each other if we wanted a day off or something. I couldn't just go adding my name to the roster without replacing someone else's shifts, and the manager has the final say, so I couldn't swap a shift with someone without him noticing, in which case he'd just assign it to someone else and text me to say he'd changed the roster and I didn't need to come in on that day. It was so petty and just really passive aggressive. Anyway, I started worrying about money because my shifts had all but vanished and I didn't have any other job prospects. I was young and a bit desperate at the time, so I still needed the shifts and wanted the work. So I called up my crew one by one and told them the situation and that I'd like to cover people's shifts to increase my work hours. The only way to do this without the manager noticing was to cover someone on the day, so my name wasn't even on the roster until after my shift had finished when I signed out. I just crossed out the person's name and put my name and hours next to it with my signature. So I just went back to my normal routine and built back my normal hours. The manager would see me arrive early for my shift and question why I was there, and I just said I was trying to represent good team values like he asked me. The malicious compliance here is that I used the text message I had gotten from my manager essentially telling me I wasn't a good employee to keep myself on the job for another 4 months. I eventually left on my own and got a better job. The true heroes of this story are definitely the team members that jumped in and helped OP when they needed it most. Count my work hours at the end of the month? Alright. I, 23-year-old female, decided to take a year off university to earn some money and have some fun before my last year as a student. I found a job in retail fairly easy, as I've worked in stores ever since I was old enough to work. My boss was thrilled to find someone with experience who could help improve her small store. My job was great at first. Despite everything in the store needing to be done manually, we have to write receipts down by hand, make a list of articles in the store every month. We didn't even have a clear schedule of work. The boss would just call us and ask us if we could work the next day. My coworker and I weren't bothered about any of it, except the schedule. She's going to university this year, and not knowing when she works is seriously messing up her progress in class. Our boss would also get really upset and mad whenever we told her we couldn't work the next day due to other plans. A few weeks into the job, I decided to fix that. I made her a spreadsheet which she could use to plan our work hours, like any other company I've ever worked for, in advance. We also gave her our schedules 3 weeks in advance so she could build and plan around it. Her response? "This doesn't work for me. What if something comes up and the person who's supposed to work doesn't show?" I tried to explain that if that were to occur, the other will just try to show up, but she was having none of it, insisting that us learning whether we worked or not the next day was just fine. It wasn't, but okay. I didn't want my work to go to waste, so I altered the sheet to work as something that counts our monthly hours at work, since that also had to be done by hand and it was unnecessary time wasted. I'm sure most of us keep track of hours spent at work, just in case. I tried improving some other things in the store, like building a database for articles we have, so we wouldn't have to hand count everything every month or every time she had to order something new. She sternly told me to delete everything I did because she doesn't like the look of it. Side note, this is kind of biting her in the butt right now because some providers are now giving her smack about the way she reports items sold at the end of each month. That database she made me delete and the way it generated the list of our items in storage is exactly what they want from her from now on. Skip to a few days ago. A few months into the job and I'm tired of her attitude. I try to help her improve the store, show motivation, present my ideas, and she shuts everything down and we stay in the same cycle of work that wouldn't be needed if she just take up some of my ideas. My coworker already quit. She's not in the store purely for emergencies until a replacement is found. My boss comes into the store and tells me it's payday. Sweet. She usually wants us to count the hours by ourselves and then compare with what she counted, but apparently she was in a bad mood that particular day and wanted me to go through everything again. Boss, we have to go over your hours for the previous month. I'd like you to count them now and tell me how many you had. Okay, I already have them counted, so you can just tell me how many you got and we can check if it matches with mine. I pulled the sheet which both coworker and I update daily, so we don't have to do this at the end of each month. She apparently didn't like that response since she loves doing everything by hand so much. She came barreling from her office and into the store, yelling at me how I shouldn't be checking the spreadsheet of my hour count and that I have to delete it from the computer immediately and to never try one of my improvements ever again. I, having been tired of her crap, just raised my eyebrows and did exactly as she said. I deleted the spreadsheet. Boss, now satisfied. Good, now I would like you to count and report the hours you worked last month. Alright. I pulled my phone out and showed her the exact same spreadsheet, except this one also calculated how much I should be getting paid for my time. I counted X hours, which means I should be getting paid Y euros. Yes, it is euros this time. She was absolutely livid with me. She was banging and throwing things in her office before she came back and handed me my hard-earned cash. Bonus, that was also the day I decided I no longer wanted to work for her due to her abusive behavior to both me and my coworker. I informed her of my decision the next day, and now she has to find 2 replacements. I take some pity on her and jump in when she really needs someone, but am otherwise free from her clutches. Come on, OP, why are you coming back and helping this woman whenever she truly needs it? Forget her, she don't care about you, we don't care about her, shebang. 3 hours it is. So, I'm from Brazil, I'm studying law here, and I have almost 3 years of internship on the town hall. Hope it's the right name because I'm not sure, that's what the translator is telling me. This one is pretty short, but I have a crap ton of others because people freaking suck when they think they deserve something special and your face screams, "I'm just an intern." The department I worked at was exclusively for autonomous workers like lawyers, engineers, architects, realtors, etc. It was just me and my boss, even though we should be 4 people. I was responsible for making those workers a series of documents related to properties they were working on for whatever reason. If you had to register your personal information with us, you could ask for those documents via email. Some were sent, some had to be picked up personally. If you didn't register your information beforehand, you had to go back in person to ask for anything you needed and then wait or come back later depending on what it was. Enter crappy, impatient lawyer. At the moment she came in, my boss had left for lunch, so I was alone. She needed information on the debts of a property and the personal information of the owner. When she came in, I was finishing a document and there were two people before her. She didn't care and just threw her stuff at the counter and started talking. Not even good morning, excuse me, or anything like that. I politely interrupted her, told her I was just finishing something and that she had to wait until I got to the other two people before her, and told her that she could either wait or come back in about 20 minutes. She tried to argue and said that what she needed was really fast and asked if I couldn't just do it for her because she was in a hurry in a rude, demanding tone. I explained it all over again using different words. She huffed and left. About 30 minutes later, my boss came back. There was no one at the counter, so I was taking the email request. He asked me how everything was, and as we talked, a court clerk came in with some contracts for us, which we had to check, sign, generate the tribute/taxes of the transaction, and return to the court clerk until 2 p.m. because they had to pay the taxes on the bank. They closed at 4 p.m. Usually they came in around 10 a.m. so we could have time, but that day they couldn't make it until 1 p.m. As my boss was checking the documents, I continued on the email, and the lawyer from before came back. I noticed someone stopped on the counter but didn't look at who it was. Just continued typing as I was finishing answering an email and said, "Good afternoon, I was going to say I will be with you in a minute," and then she interrupted me with the same tone before, just louder, and asked, "Can you take me now?" I looked at her, smiled politely as if she wasn't freaking rude, and said, "In a minute." If I was by myself, I would have just dropped the email and seen what she wanted just to get rid of her an hour of pressure. But my boss didn't like me being a pushover and always lectured me when I was, so thank God he was there. I took about 20 seconds to finish, and when I opened my mouth to speak to her, she asked why he couldn't take her request. I told her I was already finished and he was busy with something that he had to turn in about an hour. She rolled her eyes and started telling me what she wanted. The kind of document she asked for was sent via email and would take me about 15 minutes. I tried to explain that she could ask for these things via email instead of coming in person. "Instead of coming here to request those, you can just..." And then she interrupts me. "Can you just get it done already?" I was getting impatient and looked at my boss, who had stopped what he was doing to pay attention. Me. "Okay, so I just need an email to send these." "What do you mean? You made me wait an hour to say you won't give me the documents printed?" "We aren't allowed to print those here because it's the most asked for document and usually is just for speculations. I'll send them to you." And then she interrupts me again, this time looking at her phone. "Well, I'm here. The legal time for sending documents via email is 3 hours, so I'll be waiting." And she just left. It was going to take me 15 minutes, maybe less. But since she was rude as freak, I waited 3 whole hours. When I sent the documents, it wasn't even useful for the day anymore because everything was closing at 4 p.m. But you get what you asked for. Okay, people, just because you're in a rush doesn't mean you have to be rude about it and try to get it done really fast. I'm very certain that if you were polite in this situation, things would have got done way quicker. So remember that for next time. Alright everyone, that's all the time we have for today. If you liked what you heard, subscribe for more content like this daily, and have an amazing day.